Gentleman yields. Gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Garcia, is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Gensler, for joining us here today. And I always look forward to your visits, and I'm thankful that you're here, and we're still all here to finish to the end. I want to bring back the poster that was referenced by Mr. Foster. This comes from an article written by Bloomberg Law titled "Gensler Lags Predecessors in SEC Rulemaking as ESG Plans Linger." In fact, they say that you have the slowest pace in decades. We see under Bush it was 34, under Obama 28, under Trump 25, but you've only had 22 rules for the same period of time in the first 2 years. So we've had a lot of talk from the other side of the aisle about all these rules that are too many rules, too quickly, you're not listening, you're not doing enough investigations. But Bloomberg seems to think you're a slacker. Are you a slacker, Mr. Gensler?
I don't know. I leave that to others to comment on, but we do things thoughtfully. We do it by the book. We take the economic advice that we get, and Bloomberg Law has these numbers, so they speak for themselves. I think Chair Clayton, under President Trump, did 64 final rules by the time he finished his 4 years. So our rule agenda is...
So you're not even at half of what the Trump administration did.
Well, the chart says we've done 22. We're now at 24, and he had done 25, I gather. We just do it thoughtfully. We do it under the law, under the economics, and I'll leave it to others to comment. But we're doing it on behalf of the American public and for investors and issuers, and making sure that they don't work for the markets. The market should work for them. And all too often in this country, it seems to get turned around that somehow investors and issuers are there so that some market intermediary makes a profit.
It's all about transparency. Sure. And could you just, in a few words, explain to the average viewer who may be watching today why transparency is so important in this area, particularly in this area?
Transparency helps foster competition in markets. When you have transparent pricing of products, or if you know that a performance of an investment advisor is more transparent, it tends to lower the cost in the middle, and that again helps you, average working or retired American, to invest, but it also helps the people with good ideas. If you lower the cost in the middle, and that tends to come from transparency, just as like when you're buying an automobile, it's good to know the transparency of what a few different auto dealers are charging for that same automobile.
Okay. Well, the other issue that you and I have discussed many times is how important financial literacy and education is in this sector. And the last time you were here, I told you of my concern about financial literacy, not only in my district and in Texas. The Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas reports that 8% of Texans do not have a bank account, and 37% of Texans have not planned for retirement. Financial literacy, of course, is key. Chair Gensler, could you provide an update on the SEC's educational efforts to improve financial literacy, not only in Texas but across the nation, to improve people's understanding of the work that your agency does?
We have an Office of Investor Education. It's a very important office. We also put out investor alerts often on our website, and we try to engage with the public, the broad investing public, to help them understand the markets, but also to protect themselves against wrongdoers in the markets. And if you have something to tell us, to also tell us through the tips, complaints, and referral.
Right. I also have a follow-up question on the financial inclusion regarding not literacy, but language barriers. What are we doing to address any language barriers on behalf of members of our communities and our constituents in terms of investors? A
very important issue. We've certainly done some things recently with regard to shareholder reports, but I think I'd want to come back to you because it's an important
Okay.
issue about language.
Well, thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I also would like to offer for the record the article that I referenced earlier.
That's available to members under general leave and without objection, so ordered. We'll now recognize the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr.